Hello, I'm Gabby. Oh, I will be doing I'm sorry, I will be doing the first affirmative construction.
I'm Carly, and I'll be doing the second affirmative constructive.
I'm Richard, and I'll be doing the cross-examine.
I'm Elizabeth, and I will be doing the first negative constructive.
I'm Jonah Morsbach, and I'll be doing the second negative constructive.
I'm Rebecca Clayton, and I will be performing the negatives cross-examinations.
A few moments later.
Imagine you're 16. You get your license and the keys to your car. You're super excited to drive, regardless of safety. You're blasting your music, singing, and speeding. And then all of a sudden, bam, crash. Many teenagers are dying, and one of the main reasons is because of car accidents. Let's try to prevent that. Good morning. My partners and I, Richard Bohan and Carly Hastings, and I, Gary Kirko, stand for the resolution that the U.S. government should raise the legal driving age to 18. In order that we are all on the same page for today's debate, let's discuss the key definitions that we will be using in today's debate round. Observation 1, definitions. Definition 1, U.S. government. The federal government of the United States, which is made up of 3 branches. Source, the White House. Definition 2, raise. To increase in amount. Source, Oxford Languages. Definition 3, legal. Permanent by law. Source, Oxford Languages. Now that we have covered up our important terms, let's look at some major problems that we face in the current status quo. Observation 2, harms. Harm 1, title. Teens don't have enough practice. Evidence growth. Further, at each age, with those with more driving experience, have less crash rates. Source, Science Direct. Impact. If teens have more practice driving before they get their license, crash rates will decrease. Therefore, there will not be as many deaths. Harm 2, timeline. The rate of fatal crashes is high. Evidence growth. The rate of fatal crashes per mile driven is nearly 3 times higher for teens aged 16 to 19, as it is for drivers over the age of 20. Source, Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Impact. This shows that teen driving is much more dangerous than those over the age of 20. So we can clearly see that there are some major problems in our current system. Let's see the resolution in our plan. Observation 3, the plan. The affirmative team will be solving these problems by increasing legal driving age to 18. Mandate 1. States shall raise legal driving age for a full unrestricted driver's license to 18 by 2026. As a condition for receiving full federal highway funding, any state that fails to comply with this mandate shall face a reduction of 10% of its federal highway funding allocation from the Highway Trust Fund. Mandate 2. Drivers can attain the permanent 15 but can only receive their full unrestricted license after completing 115 hours of driving practice. Agency, the DMV, funding, no additional funding necessary, and enforcement, the U.S. Police. Now that we have heard our solution to these problems in the current system, let's look at the benefits that will come about once our plan is implemented. Observation 4, advantages. Advantage 1, tagline. More experience ensures less wrecks. Evidence quote. Overall, the crash rate for young New Jersey drivers who obtained their intermediate license at age 17 through 20 years old was 229 per 10,000 licensed drivers in their first month of licensure. The rate decreased by 26% to 169 over the next 5 months of licensure. Source, Science Direct. Impact. The more driving experience teens can get before they get their license, the safer the roads will be. Advantage 2, tagline. Less fatalities. Evidence quote. Raising the minimum licensing age is one of the more important steps states can take to reduce teen fatalities. Source, Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Impact. Raising the driving age will result in less deaths of teenagers. We have seen these major problems with the current status quo. In Texas, you may receive your license probate at 15 and then get your license at 16. Our plan seeks to remedy these problems in the following ways. to create a law that states one must be of 18 years of age to receive their full unrestricted driver's license. We have shown that the following advantages will come about from the passing of our plan. The research shows by raising the legal driving age, not only will there be less crashes, but less deaths. It matters to all families in America. Every day, 16-year-olds get in tragic accidents that may end in injuries, if not that, then death. Therefore, my partners Richard Bohan and Carly Hastings and I, Gabby Carrico, urge the judges to vote for the resolution that the U.S. government should raise the legal driving age to 18. Thank you. I'm now ready for cross-examination.
A few moments later.
Do you want to give Gabby the other mic? There you go.
It's not.
Hello?
Are the judges ready?
Yeah.
Is the affirmative team ready? The timer is set for 3 minutes, starting. May I have a copy of your wedding seat?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, as part of your plan, are you going to clarify, as part of your plan, are you going to raise the age for a restricted license?
No, we're going to raise the legal driving age to 18 for your unrestricted license, like your full-on license, not your permit.
And just to clarify, what is the difference between a restricted and an unrestricted license?
Well, restricted has restrictions, right? You can only drive with one who is over the age of 21 with experience so that you can learn how to become a experienced driver like their mentors.
Is that the same in all states?
No,
If the restrictions on a restricted license are different from state to state, does your mandate require standardizing the restrictions?
can you rephrase the question?
All right. Say if in your mandate you make in every state the restrictions on a restricted license, which is sometimes the same as a permit, the same, do you plan to standardize the restrictions?
Yes.
You mentioned that in Texas, you mentioned some of the things that some of your points were on how things are in Texas, correct?
Yes.
But how is this exactly relevant to the debate if your plan is to standardize this nationally?
Well, that was just an example for Texas because Texas is, it's full of people and it's really big, and so we can get a good percentage of people in that. But overall, we're going to have to do a little bit more research for everybody in America. But Texas was just one example of many countries that will change and benefit from this new law.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
So, your minutes on the clock. Are the judges ready? Is the affirmative team ready? Yes. The timer is on, and start. So, you open the car? When driving, there's many things to consider. So, if you are not allowed, that's nice. If you have things to do, jobs, schools, special places you need to be, what if one day you couldn't do any of this? There's no way for all those teens in low-income families, there's no way for them to help make money for their families. Because with this new affirmative plan, the provisional license will be taken away. For this reason, the negative team, I, Elizabeth Perez, Jonah Mosbach, and Rebecca Clayton, will be urging the judges to stand against the resolution that the legal driving age should be raised to 18 years. Observation 1, definitions. We have accepted the affirmative team's definitions. Observations 2. Harms. Harm one. The affirmative team said the teens do not have enough practice. However, our negative team says that the inexperience the teens have also affects adults. Quote, in this study, it was found that between the ages of 15 and 55, those drivers with 1 year of experience tended to have higher crash rates than the same age drivers with 2 or 3 years of driving experience when at-fault crashes were considered. Source, rosat.ntl.bts.gov. Impact. The lagging experience is something that affects all driving ages, not just teens. Harm two. The affirmative team said that high accident rates are caused in the current status quo. However, the negative team says that raising the legal driving age will not solve this problem. Quote, in a table with the number of crashes per age and age groups, the age group with the most crashes is at 25 through 34 at 14,200 accidents. Impact. This shows that the accident risks are for older drivers, not exactly young teens. Source, National Safety Council. And observation 3, the plan. The affirmative team stated that they will raise the legal driving age to 18 and require 115 hours for 15-year-old drivers. But this will not work because when you raise the legal driving age, because teens are not the ones being most affected, there will still be many crash rates and there will still be much inexperience on the roads. Now, observation 4, advancements. The affirmative team said that teens do not have enough practice, that there will be less inexperienced teens on the road. However, the current GDL program allows teens to get the necessary practice they have. But all 50 states and the District of Columbia have a 3-stage graduated driver's licensing system that limits high-risk driving situations for new drivers. This approach can reduce your teen's crash risk by as much as 50%. Impact, teens are getting enough practice by completing the necessary hours, so there's no need to change the current status quo. Source, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And advantage 2. The affirmative said that there will be less crashes on the road. But the negative said that because teens are not the ones that are being affected the most, it will not solve any of the current problems. But males 20 to 29 and those 85 and older have the highest crash rates, the highest rates of crash deaths. Source, IIH News. Impact. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, teens aren't the ones getting into most of the fatal crashes. Therefore, when you raise the legal driving age, it will be the ones 20 to 29 and 85 and older, as stated, that will be affected most. In conclusion, the affirmative plans will not work because teens are getting the necessary experience that they need, and they're not being affected by the current crash rates. Hence, my partners and I strongly encourage the judges to oppose the resolution that the legal driving age should be raised to 18 years of age. I now stand ready for cross-examination.
A few moments later.
Are the judges ready? Is the negative team ready? 3 minutes on the clock. Okay. Would you please repeat your first harm?
Inexperience affects adults as well as teens.
Like the entire harm?
Okay. Quote, in this study, it's found that between the ages of 15 and 55, those drivers with 1 year of experience tended to have higher crash rates and the same drivers of 2 or 3 years of experience when at-fault crashes were considered. Source, RoSF.gov, and impact. Lacking in driving experience is a problem that all ages face.
Okay. So what you're saying is that throughout all the ages, there's still people who don't have enough practice?
That's
Okay. But I agree with this, except there's always different amount of people from each age group trying to learn how to drive. There's not going to be the same amount of 55-year-olds as people the age 15 trying to learn how to drive. Do you agree?
This was in a standardized study.
So what does that mean?
There was the same amount of people per age group.
Okay. Well, next question. Could you please repeat your first advantage?
So the raising the legal driving age will not change the inexperience level. There's no need for this. So quote, all 50 states and the Districts of Columbia have a 3-stage graduated driver's licensing system that limits the high-risk driving situation for new drivers. This approach can reduce your teen's crash risk by as much as 50%. So, end quote. In fact, teens are getting enough practice by completing the necessary hours that they need to complete.
So what you're saying is that the GDL program is a useful program that lowers the crash rate.
That is correct.
So what the Affirmative Teens mandate states is that we're going to advance this GDL to help reduce all the crashes. So doesn't it make it a good thing?
But then on the second arm, you're saying that because they're not the ones being directly affected the most by crash rates, there is no need to raise it.
Then who's being directly affected by the crashes?
Mainly people over 20 and older than 85.
Okay. And then can you please repeat your second advantage?
Um, the, 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 the rate of fatal crashes will not change with burn. Quote, males ages 20 to 29 and those 85 and older had the highest rates of crash death.
A few moments later.
8 minutes on the clock. Starting now. Did you know that teenagers make up 13% of the nation? That is about 42 million people that are 13 to 19 years old. But so far, just in 2024, over 1,000 teenagers have tragically lost their lives because of car crashes, and it is time for something to change. That is why I, Carly Haston, and my team stand for the resolution. The U.S. government should raise the legal driving age to 18. My opponent says that the graduated driver's license, or the GDL, gives teens enough experience to drive, and that seniors get in more accidents than teenagers. But I don't think they understand how many teenagers are losing their lives because of the status quo. I hope the judges realize that our evidence proves them wrong and that change is mandatory. Observation 2, harms. Harm 1, tagline, teens don't have enough practice. Quote, first-month crash rates were higher among the youngest drivers. Drivers who were licensed later experienced a reduced steepness in the slope of their crash rates in the critical initial months of driving. Source, National Library of Medicine. Impact, this proves that later licensing results in more practice and less crashes. Harm 2, tagline, the rate of fatal crashes is higher. Quote, young drivers, while only comprising 5% of all licensed drivers in 2022, accounted for 8.1% of all drivers involved in fatal crashes. Source, Insurance Information Institute, or the III. Impact, the fatal crash rates for young drivers are disproportionately high. Observation 3, the plan. Allow me to reiterate our plan. Mandate 1, states should raise the legal driving age for a full unrestricted license to 18 by 2026. as a condition for receiving full federal highway funding. Any state that fails to comply with this mandate shall face a reduction of 10% of its federal highway funding allocation from the Highway Trust Fund. Mandate 2. Drivers can obtain their permits at age 15, but can only receive their full unrestricted license after completing 115 hours of driving practice. Agency, the DMV. Enforcement, the U.S. Police. Funding, no additional funding is necessary for our plan. Observation 4, advantages. Advantage 1, tagline. More experience, so less wrecks. Quote, teen drivers' crash risk increased substantially at the point of transition to a full license, while drivers of a similar age who remained in the intermediate phase continued to experience a decline in crash rates. Source, Science Direct. Impact. More time in the intermediate phase before getting a license will result in less accidents. Advantage 2, tagline, less fatalities. Quote, raising the licensing age reduced rates of fatal crashes. Source, Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Impact, if we raise the driving age, there will be less fatal crashes, protecting teenagers as well as making the road safer. In conclusion, I ask you to consider the hundreds of thousands of teenagers that have died because of car crashes in the past 100 years. Can you even imagine how many families are affected by this? I don't know how many exactly, but I do know one thing. It is too many. Our evidence has shown today that change is necessary because young drivers are inexperienced and the fatal crash rates are incredibly too high. But fortunately, our plan solves the harms by giving teens more experience and time to practice, making the road safer and saving lives. Therefore, my partners and I strongly urge the judges to vote in favor of the resolution. The U.S. government should raise the legal driving age to 18. Please help us protect the lives of teenagers across the nation. Thank you. I'm now ready for cross-examination.
Are the judges ready? Is the affirmative team ready? The timer is set for 3 minutes, starting now. Would you agree that this change may be controversial?
Yes, I do agree.
So, if it is controversial, how exactly do you plan to publicize this change?
What do you mean by publicize?
Make it known to the public, in some fashion.
Well, if the mandate is passed, it will go to the state's government to enforce it, and then it'll very well be known.
Would you agree that many people between the ages of 16 to 18 need to drive?
Not necessarily.
Well, are you aware that some teenagers have to work in order to supplement their family's income and raise money for college?
I am aware.
Then, if one weren't able to have a license allowing them to drive without an instructor until the age of 18, wouldn't it be an inconvenience and possibly even a barrier to that teenager's ability to work and provide income if a parent or guardian may have to take time out of their own working day to accompany them to that teenager's workplace?
I do see that, I believe that, but a parent could very well just go with them to drop them off and pick them up. And I do not believe that work is more important than teenagers' lives.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Are the judges ready?
Yeah. right, ready.
Oh, okay. Timer set 5 minutes. The affirmative team tried to tell us that the affirmative team has tried to tell us that the current system in place with the graduated driver's license is not enough to keep teen drivers prepared to drive and safe on the road. However, our team, the negative team is here to tell you that the GDO is a system that will ensure the safety of teen drivers and make sure that they are prepared for driving on their own. My partners, Rebecca Clayton and Elizabeth Perez, and I, Jonah Morsbach, remain opposed to this solution that the U.S. federal government should raise the legal driving age to 18. Observation 1. Teens are not getting enough practice. Through the GDL, the graduated driver license, and goes through a 3-stage process that begins with the learner's permit, in which you have to drive with an instructor, and that instructor would be a parent or someone that's paid by a separate system such as Safeway. And through this, you get to learn firsthand from these drivers how to operate the vehicle safely. And you have to input 44 hours of driving, 11 of which have to happen at night. The second part of the system, which you get sometime later, depending on which state you are in, you get to drive on your own. However, you have restrictions that prevent you from driving too late at night. You can, except for emergency, work, or school, which are very important. School helps you get through life. Can't really do much without an education. Work, you also can't do much without work, which teens need to work. And then also for emergencies, of course, if it's an emergency, you have to drive. However, in the event that a teen needs to get somewhere, such as work or school, they would not be able to get there until they're 18 and already out of the house, at which point they would not have any significant experience driving on their own. Observation 2. The opponent says that harm 2 is immaturity. No, that the crash rate is higher. The second harm the second harm that the affirmative had was the rate of fatal crashes is higher. However, we have shown that the negative has shown that by raising the legal driving age, it would not solve the problem because that'll be okay. Yeah. We had 2 minutes on the time. Yeah. Let's see. I'm not sure if you trust the definition.
Are the judges ready? Is the negative team ready? 30 minutes on the clock. So you said that teens won't be able to get to work, right? But won't a parent be able to drive them to their work?
Not necessarily.
Why not?
Is your mom always home 24/7?
Yes,
Is your dad always home 24/7?
yes. They're both tired.
Well, I do not have that. I don't have that. My mom and my dad both work a lot. Sometimes I have to leave, so they can work. And I sometimes don't have a right to get anywhere. Look at us.
But will a teenager be working during the weekdays?
Yes, many teenagers work during the weekdays.
Okay, but what about the weekends? Can't they work on the weekends too?
They can.
And most parents who have a job are free on the weekends.
That's true, but not all parents.
Okay. Can you please repeat your second harm?
They harm.
It was the rate of fatal crashes was higher.
Yeah.
Was there any evidence to support it?
Um, in a table with the number of crashes per age group, the age group with the most crashes comes up to 34.
And what was your source for this?
National Safety Council.
Okay. No further questions.